Hayes stood in front of the old mansion and felt her heart beat fast. The three-story house was gray and broken. Boards covered the windows. Vines grew across the walls like dead fingers. The property sat on 50 acres of land, but nothing looked alive here. Trees were dry. The grass was brown. Even the air felt wrong, like time had stopped at this place. She had bought this mansion at an auction 3 weeks ago for $120,000. Everyone at the auction thought she was crazy. The real estate agent had warned her that the house was dangerous, that the foundation was weak, and that no one knew why the previous owner had disappeared in 1954, but did not care about the warnings. She saw something in this old house that others could not see. She saw possibility. Was 42 years old and had spent the last 15 years working as an accountant in New York City. She had never married. She had no children. She had saved $2 million by working hard and living simple. Her parents had died 5 years ago, and when she received their inheritance, she decided to do something different. She quit her job and bought this mansion. People thought she had lost her mind. Her sister had not spoken to her in 3 weeks. Now, standing at the front door with a key that weighed heavy in her hand, felt alive for the first time in years. The front door opened with a groan. It fought against her push, but she was strong. Inside, dust covered everything. The air was thick and hard to breathe. Sunlight came through cracks in the boards and made lines across the dark floor. Could see furniture shapes under white sheets. Paintings hung on walls, their faces hidden by years of dirt. She walked through the front room and into a larger space. This must have been the main living area. A fireplace stood against one wall, black with old soot. Above it hung a portrait of a man with a serious face and gray eyes. The man looked like he was hiding something, stared at the portrait for a long time. She wondered who he was and why he had left this place so suddenly. The real estate papers said nothing about the man. They only said the house had been owned by someone named Dr. William, and he had vanished in the winter of 1954. No body had been found. No note had been left. He simply disappeared, and the government had taken the house for unpaid taxes. It sat empty for 70 years. Now it belonged to. She walked up the stairs to the second floor. The steps creaked under her feet, and she moved slow, testing each one before putting her full weight on it. The hallway upstairs was long and dark. Doors lined both sides, opened each one. Bedrooms, empty rooms, a bathroom with old pipes that looked like they would break if she touched them. Then she came to a door that was different. It was locked, not with a simple door lock, but with something more complex. A metal box was built into the wall next to the door frame. It had no keyhole. It had buttons. Pressed one of the buttons, nothing happened. She pressed another, still nothing. The box was dead like everything else in this house. But the lock on the door itself was old. The metal was thick with rust. Found a hammer in the basement and came back upstairs. She hit the lock hard. The metal broke. She hit it again and again until the lock fell away from the door. The door was heavy, but it opened. The room inside was different from the rest of the house. It was smaller, maybe 12 feet by 14 feet. The walls were lined with metal, not wood. There was no dust here. The air was dry and clear, and on the walls there were things that made breath stop. Lights, equipment, screens that looked like they were made from glass but not quite glass, something else. Something she had never seen before. They were dark and silent, but they looked clean, like someone had shut them down carefully, not left them to fall apart. There was a desk with papers on it, picked up the first one. It was covered in handwriting. The date on the top said June 15, 1923. The writing was small and tight. She read the first line. The visitors came again last night. They showed us the equations. The math is wrong in everything we know. We have been blind. His hands shook. She picked up another paper. October 3, 1930. Dr. Hammond says the weapon they gave us will work, but it will take years to build. We must keep this secret. The government will destroy it if they know. They will destroy us. Another paper. February 20, 1947. I have sent Henderson to the coast. He will gather the materials. Williams is building the power source in the basement. No one can know about this room. If they find it, everything ends. Moved to the center of the room. There was a crystal on a pedestal. It was the size of her fist, and it glowed with a soft blue light. The light was steady and calm. Reached out and touched it. It was warm, warm like it was alive. Below the crystal, carved into the pedestal, were words. For the one who finds this place, protect your world. Humanity is stronger than you know. Dr. William and the First Contact Council. Stepped back, her mind was racing. This did not make sense. This could not be real. But it was real, she could see it, she could touch it, the equipment was real, the papers were real, the light from the crystal was real. She looked at the walls again. Now she noticed something else, marks on the metal, not rust, words carved into the metal. She moved closer and read them. 1925, they came from beyond the stars. 1927, we understood we were not alone. 1932, they warned us about the darkness coming. 1945, we began building the defense. 1950, the work goes forward in secret. 1954, I leave this to the next guardian. Understood then? This was not a house. It was a tomb, a time capsule. A message left by P did not leave the hidden room that first night. She sat at the desk and read every paper. 143 papers in total. Some were thick with equations that meant nothing to her. Others were notes written in quick handwriting describing meetings and warnings. By 3 in the morning, had learned the truth. An alien species had made contact with Earth scientists in 1923. They were not hostile, they were afraid. They had come to warn humanity about a species called These beings moved between stars and destroyed planets. They took resources. They took everything, leaving nothing behind. They were coming toward Earth. They would arrive in 100 years, maybe less. The alien visitors could not stay to help. Their own species did not approve of interference, but they could leave technology. They could leave knowledge. They could leave hope. The scientists who had discovered them decided to keep it secret. They formed the First Contact Council. They built this mansion as a laboratory. They worked in the shadows for 30 years, developing defenses, studying the alien knowledge, preparing humanity for a war that no one knew was coming. Then in 1954, something changed. The papers stopped. There were no more entries after February 1954. Dr. Williams' final note was dated February 28, 1954. It said, "They have gone silent. We have heard nothing from them for 6 months. Either they have succeeded in stopping or they have been destroyed. I cannot know which. I am the last one left. The others are scattered, afraid. I will stay here and wait. I will maintain the equipment. If anyone finds this place after I am gone, know that we did everything we could. We tried to save you. Now it is your turn." That was 70 years ago. Spent the whole next day exploring the equipment. She found a power source in the basement that was still active, still giving energy to the hidden room. It ran on something she did not understand, but it worked. The lights on the equipment came alive when she touched different panels. Screens flickered and showed information. One screen showed a map of the stars, recognized Earth, but the other points of light were labeled with names she did not know. Some names had red markers next to them. Others had blue markers. One path of red markers moved slowly across the map, heading toward Earth. Below the map, a number counted down. Did the math quickly in her head. 137 years. That was how long ago they had calculated they would arrive. She subtracted from 1954. 37 years had passed. They had 100 years left. Unless they came early. Found a storage unit with a large crystal, similar to the smaller one but larger. She did not touch it. She found notebooks filled with calculations and diagrams. She found what looked like photographs, but they were made of material that was not quite paper. In some photos, she could see the alien visitors. They had tall bodies and thin arms. Their faces were gentle but also strange, like looking at something that was almost human but not quite. One photograph showed the aliens with the scientists. Dr. Williams stood in the center, his hand on the shoulder of one alien. They looked like friends. The image was dated 1928. On the wall of the equipment room, found a panel with symbols. She did not recognize the language, but next to each symbol was a word written in English. Someone, perhaps Doctor, had translated them. Pressed the symbol that said, "Play records." The room filled with light. A hologram appeared in the center. It was an alien, the same kind she had seen in the photographs, but this one looked older, sadder. The alien opened its mouth and heard a voice. The voice was strange, like wind moving through a tunnel, but the words were English. "If you are watching this recording, then you are the new guardian," the alien said. "My name is not important. You could not pronounce it anyway. What is important is what I tell you now. We are gone. Whether we succeeded or failed, you do not know. That is the burden you carry now, but I will tell you this. Humans are remarkable. Your species is young, but you are strong. You survive things that should kill you. You create beauty from suffering. You love fiercely. You are willing to die for others. These things matter. These things will be what saves you. They only understand conquest. They do not understand sacrifice. They do not understand hope. Use these advantages. They are your strength." The hologram disappeared. The room went dark again. sat down hard on the floor. She was crying, but she did not know why. Over the next weeks, began to understand the equipment better. She found a manual written in English. Someone, probably doctor, had translated all the alien material. The equipment in the room was a communications device, a data storage system, and most importantly, a technology to analyze and improve human biology at the genetic level. The aliens had left blueprints for medicine that did not exist yet. They had left theories about clean energy that would revolutionize the world. They had left designs for materials stronger than anything humans had created. And they had left defensive technology, weapons systems, detection arrays, everything humanity would need to survive. But all of it would take time to develop and build. Made a decision. She would not tell the world yet. She would not call the government. She would not go public. Not yet. First, she would understand everything. Then she would decide who to tell and how to do it. She closed the hidden room and sealed it behind the broken door. She began having contractors fix the mansion. She told them it was a restoration project. No one asked questions. She hired people to restore it room by room, but she always kept the third floor closed off, spent 3 months learning everything about the hidden technology. She did not sleep much. She drank coffee and read and studied and took notes. The equipment seemed to respond to her presence as if it recognized her as the new guardian. New files unlocked, new recordings played, new information became available. By the 4th month, had a clear picture of what needed to be done. She needed a team. She needed brilliant people. She needed people who could work in secret while making progress that looked like normal scientific advancement to the outside world. She made a list of names. Scientists who had published groundbreaking research in the last 5 years, people who thought differently, people who were not afraid to challenge conventional wisdom, people who worked alone or in small groups, not for large organizations that might notice unusual requests. The first person on her list was Dr. Park. He was a physicist who had published 3 papers on advanced energy systems. He was 40 years old and worked at a private research facility in Boston. He was married with no children. He was quiet but respected in his field. Called him one afternoon and said she wanted to meet him about a potential research opportunity. They met at a coffee shop, was suspicious at first, was a stranger with no scientific credentials, but was prepared. She showed him some of the alien equations and asked him what he thought. Went pale, his hands shook. He asked where she had gotten these equations. She told him the truth. He did not believe her at first, but had photographs of the equipment. She had recordings. She had papers written by scientists from 100 years ago that described the exact same equations. Sat in silence for a very long time. Then he asked to see the mansion. When walked into the hidden room, he wept. He literally wept like a child. He touched the equipment and felt the energy flowing through it. He read the papers and understood without any doubt that everything had told him was true. "How many people know?" asked. "Just me," said, "and now you." "We need more people," said. "This is too big, too important." "I know," said, "but we have to choose carefully. The wrong people could destroy this. Governments could take it and weaponize it. Corporations could hide it for profit. We need people who are smart enough to understand the science and moral enough to do the right thing." "That is a rare combination," said. "Yes," agreed, "but we will find them." Over the next 3 months, and brought 4 more people into the secret. The second was Dr. Williams, a geneticist who specialized in cellular regeneration. She was 38 and worked for a hospital in Philadelphia. She was brilliant but frustrated because the hospital would not fund her research into genetic therapy. The third was Dr. Johnson, an engineer who designed advanced systems for an aerospace company. He was 45 and had dreams of building things that would change the world. He was tired of building weapons systems for the military. The fourth was Dr. Helen, a strategic advisor who had worked in both the military and diplomatic service. She was 51 and had retired because she was tired of watching governments make bad decisions. She lived quietly and consulted for think tanks. The fifth was Dr. Allen, a cryptographer and historian who taught at a university. He was 35 and had written 2 books about secret societies throughout history. He was fascinated by hidden knowledge and how information could be protected across generations. When brought each person to the mansion and showed them the hidden room, each one reacted the same way: shock, denial, then acceptance, then purpose. They understood immediately that this was real, and they understood immediately that this was the most important work they could ever do. The five of them plus sat in the hidden room on a night in July and made a decision. They would work together. They would keep the secret. They would develop the technology slowly, making it look like natural scientific progress. They would present their work through normal channels, publishing papers and making announcements, but all of their breakthroughs would be guided by the alien knowledge. "We have 100 years to prepare humanity," said. "But they could arrive early. We do not know. We have to work fast, but we have to look like we are working slow. We have to change the world without the world knowing what we are doing." "It is impossible," said. "Yes," said, "but we have to try anyway." Stood up and walked to the hologram panel. He activated the recording of the alien again. They all listened to the words. "These things matter. These things will be what saves you. They only understand conquest. They do not understand sacrifice. They do not understand hope." "We will sacrifice," said. "We will give up normal lives. We will work in secret for years. We will not get credit for what we do. We will work for hope." "Yes," Alan said, "that is what we do." And Helen nodded, looked at each of them and felt something she had not felt since she first found the mansion. She felt that humanity had a chance, a real chance. "Then let us begin," said. They began that night, started analyzing the energy equations, began studying the genetic blueprints, began examining the material designs. Helen began working on strategic plans for how to release information to the world. Alan began organizing all the documents and translating the remaining alien text, and became the center of everything. She was the keeper of the secret, the guardian of the knowledge. 5 years passed, had published 2 papers on revolutionary energy systems. His research had caught the attention of governments around the world. The United States had given him a grant to develop a prototype clean energy reactor. He was now the head of a research facility in New Mexico. Had made breakthroughs in cellular regeneration. She had published research showing that certain genetic markers could be activated to heal injuries faster and prevent disease. Hospitals were beginning to use her methods. She was now the head of a medical research center in California. Had designed new materials that were stronger and lighter than anything previously created. His work with advanced alloys had led to new construction methods and vehicle designs. Aerospace companies were calling him constantly, offering him positions and money. He was now the chief engineer at a major aerospace corporation. Helen had published papers on new strategic thinking. Her ideas about cooperation and unified defense were gaining attention in military and government circles. She was now an advisor to the Secretary of Defense. Alan had become an expert in cryptography and data security. His methods were being adopted by governments and corporations worldwide. He was now the chief security advisor for a major technology company, and had become the owner of a successful property restoration company. She used the money from her restoration work to fund the research facilities where her team worked. She traveled constantly, moving between locations, making sure all the work stayed coordinated and secret. But all of this was just the front. The real work was happening in the hidden room beneath the mansion, and in similar hidden rooms that they had secretly built in 5 other locations across the country. The team was ready to take bigger steps. Helen called a meeting in the mansion. All 6 of them gathered in the hidden room on a Friday night in December. Helen had brought something with her, a folder. Inside the folder was a list of names. "I have been watching," Helen said. "Watching who makes decisions in government, watching who thinks like we think, watching who is not corrupt. I have found 12 people, 12 government officials who would understand what we are doing, 12 people who would help us instead of destroying us." "That is dangerous," Alan said. "Every person we tell is a risk." "Yes," Helen said, "but we cannot do this alone anymore. We need allies inside government. We need protection. We need resources. And most importantly, we need to start building the defensive array. We cannot do that in secret. We need cooperation. We need access to military facilities and satellites and technology that only governments have." Thought about this? Helen was right. They had been working in the shadows for 5 years, but they had reached the limits of what they could do alone. They were still 70 years away, but time was moving fast. They needed to move faster. "Show me the names," said. Helen opened the folder. The names were there. Senators, military officers, scientific advisors, people with power and influence, people Helen had researched for years. "These people are good," Helen said. "They are smart. They want to protect their country and their world. I believe they will understand." "And if you are wrong?" asked. "Then we are all arrested for treason," Helen said simply. "But I am not wrong." Walked to one of the equipment panels and activated another recording. It was a different alien recording. This one showed a map of the trajectory and their estimated arrival time. 1,000 years ago, they had destroyed a civilization similar to Earth. The recording showed what happened: cities destroyed, populations eliminated, nothing left but ruins. "We do not have a choice," said. "We can work in secret for 70 years and maybe succeed, or we can trust a few good people and definitely succeed." Nodded. "I vote we tell them. Helen picks the first 4, we meet with them, we show them everything." "If they tell anyone," Alan said, "if even one of them talks to someone else, this all falls apart." "Then we choose people who will not talk," Helen said. "People who have already shown they can keep secrets, people who have already faced moral choices and made the right decision." "Made the decision? Do it. Pick the first 4, we will meet with them." Over the next month, Helen brought in 4 people: a senator from California, a general from the Pentagon, a director from NASA, a scientist from the Department of Energy. Each meeting was the same, told the story. They showed the equipment, they played the recordings, they explained what they were doing and why. Each person reacted the same way: shock, denial, then acceptance, then purpose. The general, whose name was David, stood in the hidden room and said something that stayed with. He said, "This is not about America anymore. This is not about politics or money or power. This is about survival. My job has always been to defend my country, but now I have to defend my species. That is what I will do." By the end of year 5, had gone from being a woman working alone to being the leader of a secret organization. 12 government officials knew the truth. The team was expanding. Research was accelerating, and for the first time began to believe that humanity really might have a chance. But she also knew that the real work was just beginning. They had 70 years, they had a secret, and they had hope. It was not much, but it was enough. He one who would hold the vision and make sure that all of their work served one purpose: to prepare humanity for the day the notification came at 3 in the morning on a Tuesday in March. The satellite detected an object at the edge of the solar system. The object was large. The object was moving deliberately. The object had changed course 3 times, and each change brought it closer to Earth. The had arrived early, 40 years early. Helen called at 3:15. Her voice was not calm. Helen was never not calm, but now her voice shook. "They are here," Helen said. "Our projections were wrong. They are here now." Felt her stomach drop. She had known this day was coming. She had prepared for this day, but knowing and preparing were not the same as experiencing it. "How long do we have?" asked. 3 months, Helen said. "Maybe less. They are moving fast." Made one decision immediately. She would tell the truth. She would tell the world. She could no longer keep this secret. Humanity had to know. Humanity had to prepare. Humanity had to understand what was coming. Within 24 hours was standing in front of the United Nations. Her hands were shaking, but her voice was strong. She told them everything. She told them about the mansion and the hidden room. She played the recordings from the alien visitors. She showed them the evidence of first contact. She explained the threat and what it meant. She showed them the defensive array that was being built and the strategy for survival. The room was silent. For a very long time, no one said anything. Then the senator from California stood up. He supported her. He said he knew this was true. He had known for 5 years and had kept silent because he believed in and her team. Other government officials stood up. The general from the Pentagon, the director from NASA. One by one, they confirmed the truth. Chaos came next. Fear, denial, arguments. But slowly, after hours of debate, nations began to understand that they had to work together or they would all die separately. The defensive array was the priority. It had been in construction for 5 years, hidden in mountains in 6 countries. The building accelerated. Scientists from every nation worked together. Resources were pooled. Money was unlimited. The work that was supposed to take 20 years was compressed into 3 months. Coordinated the energy systems. Worked with medical teams, preparing treatments for those injured in the coming battle. Designed rapid construction methods that cut construction time in half. Helen coordinated military strategy. Alan created secure communication systems so all the world's governments could talk to each other without the listening. and walked between all of them, making sure the work continued, making sure people did not give up, making sure humanity did not break. The ship appeared in the sky on a Tuesday morning. It was larger than any spacecraft humanity had ever built. It was black and shaped like a weapon. The ship took position near the moon and sent a message. The message was simple: surrender or be destroyed. Humanity chose to fight. The battle lasted 4 hours. The defensive array worked exactly as designed. The energy shields stopped the first attacks. The missiles launched by human forces struck the ship's weapon systems. The encryption systems Alan had designed prevented them from hacking human communications. For the first time in the battle, they slowed their attacks. They recalculated. They studied. They realized that Earth was not the easy target they had expected. The ship changed course and moved away. It sent one final message: "You are not alone. Others will know you exist. We will return, but not today." And they left. The human forces did not chase them. They did not need to. The goal was survival. Survival was achieved. The celebrations lasted for days. Nations danced in the streets. People embraced strangers. The world wept with relief. In the hidden room beneath the mansion, activated the final recording that the alien visitors had left. The message was very short. The alien said, "You have chosen well, you have endured, the future is yours to shape." And then on a screen that had been dark for 70 years, new information appeared. A star map, coordinates, a message. It said, "Come to the stars. Humanity is ready to join the galactic community. You have proven yourselves. Welcome to the universe." Read the message and understood that this was not an ending. This was a beginning. Humanity had survived but the real journey was just starting. There was a universe out there. There were other species. There were allies waiting in the stars. And humanity, the species that had refused to surrender, the species that had sacrificed and hoped and trusted each other, was ready to meet them. The mansion stood on the hill, no longer a secret. It had become a monument to human survival. Future generations would walk through these halls and remember. They would remember that ordinary people had done extraordinary things. They would remember that hope was real. They would remember that the human spirit could never be broken. And in the hidden room, the blue crystal pulsed with light, waiting for the next chapter of human history to be written. That was coming. Outside the mansion, the world did not know what was happening. People went to work and lived their lives and worried about normal things. But in a hidden room beneath a 100-year-old mansion, 6 people worked through the night to save the human race. Knew she could not do this alone, but she also knew that the wrong people could destroy everything. She would need to find people she could trust, smart people, brave people, people who would understand the weight of this secret and carry it without breaking. She had 100 years to prepare humanity, 100 years to make the species strong enough to survive. And she would not waste a single day. Who had known something terrible was coming? They had built this room, they had left the equipment, they had left the papers, they had waited for someone to find it. And now, standing in this strange room with the blue light from the crystal washing over her face, knew that her life had changed forever. She was no longer an accountant. She was no longer the woman everyone knew. She was the guardian now. She was the one who had found this place. Outside, the sun began to set. The mansion grew dark. But in the hidden room, the blue light from the crystal continued to glow, steady and bright, as if it had been waiting for this moment all along.